Hello and welcome to the news on NTA International, reaching you live from Abuja. I am Nolin Ebel Ame with the news. The news headline: Presidential election petition court to adjudicate on 3 petitions within constitutionally stipulated time. Senate condemns alleged killing of a Nigerian woman in South Africa. Plus, arrangements in top gear for voluntary repatriation of Nigerian refugees in Cameroon. Now, the Presidential Election Petition Court has continued hearing of one of the petitions pending before it. The court has 3 petitions to adjudicate on within the constitutionally stipulated time. Dele Atumbi reports.
At the last sitting of the Presidential Election Petitions Court, on the pre-hearing of the petition of the People's Democratic Movement and its candidate Amici Abu on June 27, 2019, the court adjourned the matter to Wednesday, July 10, 2019 for further hearing. However, on Tuesday, July 9, 2019, counsel to the party, Maurice Onuno, acting on the directive of Chairman Frank Igbodike, filed an application notifying the court of the intention of the party to withdraw from the petition. This necessitated the filing of counter affidavit and reply on the point of law from the counsel to the candidate of the party, Aliu Lemu. While Wole Olanipekun, SAN, Latif Fagbemi, SAN for the APC, and Usman Ustas, SAN for INEC, all respondents in this matter, were ready for the hearing of the application. Counsel to the party who brought the application, Maurice Onuno, pleaded with the court for time to file his counter affidavit and reply on the point of law. The 5-man Presidential Election Petitions Court led by Justice Mohamed Garba, which will have given its pre-hearing report this Wednesday and proceeded to the end of the substantive matter in the petition, has to adjourn the matter to July 18, 2019 for the argument of the application. The party and its candidate before now were pleading with the court for the nullification of the presidential election conducted on February 23, 2019 due to the purported exclusion of the party's logo in the ballot paper.
Party cannot withdraw from the hearing of the petition midway. Even if they are not interested anymore, they remain necessary parties and will remain till the petition is fully determined.
The party, in its wisdom, reviewed the entirety of the petition and resolved and took the decision to withdraw as a petitioner. It doesn't fetch the petition or the first petition. You can go on with his petition. What the party is saying is that I'm more interested in the petition because it is the interest of the party and of the nation to withdraw as a petitioner.
Also this Wednesday, the petition of the Hope Democratic Party and its candidate Ambrose Owuru came up for hearing. The petitioners, through their counsel Chukwu Njoku, came up with an application. Counsel to President Muhammadu Buhari, Wole Olanipekun, SAN, opposed the application, describing it as an abuse of court process. Latif Fagbemi, SAN, counsel to the APC, raised the issue of the petitioners filing their reply on the point of law out of time. Relying on the decisions in Ekechukwu against INEC and Omishori versus Aregbesola, Fagbemi, SAN, and counsel to the other respondents urged the court to dismiss the application. The court reserved ruling on the matter to a later date. The Presidential Election Petitions Court adjourned further hearing on the Hope Democratic Party's petition to July 18, 2019. Meanwhile, the court will this Thursday continue hearing of the petition of the PDP and its candidate Atiku Abubakar. In Abuja, Dele Atumbi, NTA News.
And from Nasarawa State, the National and State Houses Election Petition Tribunal sitting in Lafia has affirmed the victory of the senator representing Nasarawa West Senatorial District, Abdullahi Adamu. Abubakar Usman Akwanga reports that the affirmation follows the delivery of judgment on the petition of the Abga senatorial candidate, Kiston Garbu, disputing the outcome of the poll.
The judgment, which was delivered by Chairman of the Tribunal, Justice David Ego, dismissed the petition, citing insufficient evidence by the petitioner to prove his allegations and filing petition outside the 21-day statutory time frame after declaration of election results. The Presidential and National Assembly elections were conducted on February 23, 2019, and final result for Nasarawa West Zone by INEC declared Senator Abdullah Adamu winner on 25 February 2019, while the petitioner approached the tribunal on April 18, 2019, challenging the victory of the incumbent senator, alleging violence and overvoting as reasons. Councils react to the judgment.
The court has affirmed the decision of the people to return him to the Senate, so we are very, very satisfied. Election petition, there are cases, and this is just the first.
At the Governorship Election Petition Tribunal sitting in Lafia, more witnesses appeared and were cross-examined on oath by counsels on the petition between PDP governorship candidate Imam Ambugadu versus APC candidate and Nasarawa State Governor Abdullahi Alhaji Sule. In Lafia, I am Habubakar Usman Akwanga, NT News.
The Special Investigative Panel on the Recovery of Public Property is beaming its searchlight on the activities of the Petroleum Equalization Fund, PEF, to ascertain its culpability in the shady award of refined petroleum products contracts from NNPC Depot. The investigation is coming on the heels of the discovery of billions of naira and property allegedly linked to the two officials of the fund. Olabode Arewa reports that in line with its presidential mandate to assist the anti-corruption agencies to recover public funds, the Special Investigative Panel commenced investigation into the finances of Mr. Godi Nadi, General Manager Corporate Services at the Petroleum Equalization Fund, PEF. The suspect, having allegedly admitted during interrogation that some oil companies deposited monies totaling 2.2 billion naira, over $302 million, 11,100 euros, and 2,000 pounds into his bank account to facilitate award of oil contracts. The panel says it is working to ensure the future of the monies. The panel is also working to recover 1.4 billion naira from one Aisha Famia Usman, another general manager with the fund.
Of money laundering against Dr. Godi Nadi. We have gone to court to say, look, these are properties he has, and these properties are beyond his legitimate earnings. Let him go and defend himself before the court of law.
The panel recently recovered 77 billion naira from a bank which made illegal deductions from government accounts in its custody. The National Judicial Council, NJC, has recommended to President Muhammadu Buhari the substantive Chief Justice of Nigeria. The council also recommended the appointments of 8 of others as heads of court. The decision was taken at National Judicial Council emergency meeting this Wednesday in Abuja. The meeting, which was initially presided over by Justice Umaru Abdullahi, considered and approved the recommendation of its interview committee that screened the 2 candidates presented by the Federal Judicial Service Commission to it for appointment as Chief Justice of Nigeria. 187 new cadets on direct short course 28 at the Military Training Center, Kaduna, have been commissioned into the Nigerian Air Force. At the passing out parade and commissioning ceremony, Vice President Yemi Oshibaju urged the flying officers to utilize the experience acquired during the 24 weeks intensive training to make positive impact in bringing an end to the security issues affecting the country. Government, on its part, he says, will continue to take all necessary measures to tackle all forms of criminality across the country and to safeguard lives and property of all Nigerians.
In a few short years, this country will be by far the greatest military force in Africa and certainly the most developed economy in Africa. All of these have been built on the sacrifices of many, the blood and sweat of many men and women, especially of the armed forces. What will undermine our efforts now and in the future is unity. All of those who are preaching narratives of division, especially along ethnic and religious lines. We must resist all who try to destroy our present gains and in particular our future.
President said the Nigerian Air Force, as part of the armed forces, has continued to be at the forefront of national security interventions. The Senate has condemned the alleged killing of a Nigerian woman, Elizabeth Juku, in a hotel in South Africa. The motion, moved by the minority leader of the Senate, Senator Inaya Aberibe, also commended the federal government for its swift response towards the unfortunate incident. The legislators, however, urged the government of South Africa to carry out investigation into the matter and bring the culprits to book. The legislator also urged the federal government to issue travel alert to Nigerians traveling to South Africa. The Senate is to liaise with the House of Representatives in finding a solution to the crisis rocking the Edo State House of Assembly. The House of Representatives at Wednesday plenary resolved to ensure that adequate security measures are put in place for the safety of personnel and property of the National Assembly. The resolutions followed a motion of urgent public importance by the House Minority Leader Ndude Elumelu from Delta State on Tuesday's invasion of the National Assembly by the Shares Group so as to amicably resolve whatever their grievances, as well as find a way to compensate security personnel and others who are victims of the incident. The House also resolved to ascertain if the officers involved are insured under Group Personnel Accident Scheme. Compliance with rules and regulations, integrity, professionalism and ethical conduct are some of the indicators listed by civil servants needed to achieve the EPIC civil service. This was contained in a culture diagnostic survey report launched for the civil service in Abuja. Adebola Brucelin Sunday reports.
The development of an efficient, productive, incorruptible and citizen-centered cultural transformation of the civil service is one of the top priority of the Federal Civil Service 2017-2020 strategy and implementation plan. Towards ensuring a sense of belonging, the project management team requested inputs from civil servants who are at the center of government activities.
Training and retraining is also an important motivating factor to civil servants.
Most of the take-home pays, some cannot take us home.
Lots of times where civil servants cannot give in their very best, and it is because of the rules surrounding the civil service. The bureaucracy is too much.
Condition of civil servants today in Nigeria.
The view of these civil servants represents some of the inputs, especially in the area of condition of service. It is in a bid to meet these requests and suggestions from about 6,000 respondents across all ministries, departments and agencies that the 447-page culture diagnostic survey report is launched.
We've been able to see that where we are headed in terms of the EPIC vision for the service is it aligns with what civil servants are desirous of, what they believe is the future for the service. If we can change the narrative of how the service operates.
To ensure the full implementation of the reports in all establishments, Head of the Civil Service of the Federation, Winifred Oyoita, made a special presentation of the compendium to all federal permanent secretaries at their meeting.
I am confident that this report will base an epic civil service and civil servants needed to build a modern and robust economy in Nigeria.
Adebola, Brooklyn Sunday, NTA News.
You are watching the news on NTA International, reaching you from Abuja. Stay tuned for more news after the break.
Position on asset recovery. As part of the commemoration activities, EFCC will be hosting a public education and sensitization walk, as well as a roundtable discussion on asset recovery and return. You are hereby invited to participate in the walk towards asset recovery and return. In roundtable discussion, we encourage you to grace the event with the officers of your organization. The road walk will commence at 7 a.m. from the EFCC Abuja Zonal Office, number 5 Famela Street, Wuse to Abuja, opposite Rockview Hotel, and will terminate at Musa Yaradua Center, where the roundtable conversation will take place. For further inquiries, please contact Martha on 08062333939 and Salmon on 08027250230.
International news. Africa as it is.
Thank you for staying with us. Now, the outlook of African women needs to take a positive turn towards changing the narrative in the advocacy for women participation in governance, economic development, and gender cooperation in line with the Sustainable Development Goal 5. That is what African Women Leadership Network seeks to achieve. Basi Taipang reports on the vision and mission of the network in Nigeria.
Women to take their rightful place in the society, some barriers must be removed and some bridges restored. This gave birth to the African Women Leadership Network in 2017 to enhance the leadership of African women in the transformation of the continent with the African Agenda 2063. The network in Nigeria will support women leaders to boost women's contribution to nation building, sustain peace, and economic social transformation.
Mentorship is key, and then also solidarity and being able to link up with networks in other countries.
And today we are beginning that step of reaching out to networks, knowing fully well that this is not work for any particular group in it alone, but one that
women will be more visible, respected, and aired through this platform.
In a message to the forum, Nigeria First Lady Aisha Buhari encouraged Nigerian women to be resolute in taking their rightful position in the society.
Her Excellency Dr. Mrs. Aisha Muhammad Buhari, the First Lady of Nigeria, has been very passionate about women and to get more women into the leadership position. We believe that if in this present dispensation of the second term, Nigerian women are brought on board to be major stakeholders.
The forum acknowledged that there is no limit to what women can achieve when they work in unity.
The network has a vital mission of ensuring that women get their rightful place in Africa and the world. It is also committed to holding leaders accountable and being accountable to women and girls in Africa. Basi Taipa, NTA News.
Thank you, Basi. From women to farmers now. Farmers in Jigawa State have promised to ensure high level of commitment in contributing to federal government agenda of ensuring food security in the country. This is disclosed in Ringim during the distribution of farm inputs as compensation to farmers affected by 2018 flood. Ilyasu Ali Akubo reports.
244,892.56 hectares of farmlands were washed away by the 2018 flood, and the disaster affected 232,989 farmers in 14 states, and out of which Jigawa State has the highest number of farmers of about 73,000 in 19 out of the 27 local government areas of the state. These threats to federal government agenda on food security prompted the government to approve 33 billion naira as compensation, with 10 billion naira to victims of herders farmers crisis in 7 states and 23 billion naira to victims of flood in 14 states. The National Emergency Management Agency NEMA verified the affected farmers across the country to hear out the distribution. Agrochemicals, improved seeds and fertilizers were presented to the affected farmers.
So we are very much appreciating the effort of the government.
I am a farmer, so I am very happy.
We thank the government for this gesture.
Jigawa happens to be one of the most affected states in terms of the flood disaster, and this committee is actually on ground to enumerate and verify the list of the farmers that were sent by the state government and provide this distribution.
The owner of 1 affected hectare of farmland is entitled to 9 bags of fertilizer and other agricultural inputs. From Ringim in Jigawa State, Ilyasu Aliyakubu, NTA News.
For news from the financial sector, here is Olaika Ojo.
Welcome to Business News. Total public debt stood at 24.947 trillion naira as at March 31, 2019, growing marginally by 2.30%. The data released by the Debt Management Office shows that the increase of 560.0 billion naira in the total public debt in the first quarter of 2019 was accounted for largely by domestic, which grew by 458.3 billion naira. Increases were recorded in the domestic debt stock of the federal government, state governments, as well as the Federal Capital Territory. External debt also increased by 101.6 billion naira during the same period. Total public debt to GDP ratio stands at 19.03%. This is within the 25% debt limit imposed by the government. To capital markets, the NSE All-Share Index went down 0.21% to close at 29,245.60 basis points, while market capitalization rose to 14.2 trillion naira. 188.7 million shares were traded by investors valued at 3.7 billion naira in 3,363 deals. And from the commodities market, increasingly weak demand outlook caps crude oil prices.
Thank you, Olainka, for that business news. Moving on, arrangements have been concluded for the voluntary repatriation of 4,000 Nigerian refugees who had earlier fled the Cameroon Republic as a result of insurgency and other security challenges in their various localities. This decision was reached at a meeting of the Technical Working Group for the implementation of the tripartite agreement on the repatriation held in Yola. Yusuf Jika reports.
The meeting, which brought together representatives of Nigerian and Cameroonian authorities as well as United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees, is to brainstorm on how to successfully achieve the voluntary repatriation of Nigerian refugees from Cameroon Republic who fled the country due to insurgency and other civil unrest in their communities.
The meeting also assessed the readiness of the parties for the voluntary repatriation and to review the technicalities involved in the whole process. Among other resolutions reached at the meeting are operational modalities and support measures to ensure the safe, dignified and sustainable reintegration of the returnees, as well as work within the framework of the tripartite agreement.
We're going to support them with shelter kits. We're going to support them with empowerment, different skills. We're going to provide them food for a period of 6 months.
Making sure that conditions such as health and education and reintegration can actually be in place.
Everything has been put in place. We just need to inform hierarchy and all will be okay.
The technical report recognized the efforts done by the government of Nigeria in restoring security and basic social services and recommended for the reintegration measures that will improve absorption capacity and enhance access to basic services and self-reliance for the returnees. The group earlier inspected Yola Airport reception, while the returnees can go through proper checkup and screening, as well as transit camp and access the facilities on ground.
At the end of it all, Wednesday, 21st of August 2018 has been fixed for the commencement of the repatriation. In Yola, I'm Yusuf Jika, NTN News.
Let's join Adebola Sunday for news from other parts of the globe.
The United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees, UNHCR, says authorities in Libya have released more than 310 refugees and migrants from the detention center that was bombed in Tajura last week for relocation. More than 50 people died in the attack that was blamed on an airstrike by forces loyal to a warlord, General Khalifa Haftar. But General Haftar's forces accused the government side of shelling the center. Most of the deceased are believed to be sub-Saharan Africans who were attempting to reach Europe from Libya. In another development, 6 men have landed themselves in trouble after they were convicted of performing money rituals in Zimbabwe with 63 pairs of women's panties in a graveyard. Ringleader of the group, Anderson Chibondo, fled from the courts, leaving his disciples to bear the brunt of the judgments after a traditional court gave its ruling. The culprits pleaded guilty to the charges and exposed 70-year-old Anderson Chibondo as their leader, who fled before the judgments. And Britain ambassador to Washington has resigned his position after days of criticism from President Donald Trump. Memos from Kim Darroch, in which he described the Trump administration as inept, were leaked to a British Sunday newspaper. Infuriating the U.S. president, launched a Twitter attack on both the envoy and outgoing Prime Minister Theresa May. I am Adebola Brooksland Sunday, NTA News.
And on sports news, Nigeria will be playing with South